pronounce Dimitris' name. That's basically what's going on, isn't it? Yeah, of course. Well, please welcome, all the way from sunny Hammersmith, Dimitris, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please, thank you so much. I think I have to start off by saying that the net effect of those anthropological, here is the next generation kind of chats just makes me hate children. Does that have the effect on any? Does it have the effect on anybody else? I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old sort of moving into those screen ages things, and I have to say, if they are the future of our customers, we are all in big trouble. Great to see you. How has it been?
Very well. No, it's beautiful. As Jonathan mentioned, I was in Dubai last week at the Future Hospitality Summit, and definitely hospitality is back. It was amazing. As Jonathan said, there were 1,000 people there just celebrating being back after 3 years of darkness and sad times. And exciting. Look at this room. I mean, full room of people, and everybody's so eager to do business in the region. So all positive.
So how much of that is a sort of irrational exuberance, giddy like schoolgirls back after a long break kind of stuff? I mean, you were in Berlin for IHIF as well.
Yep.
And had you been new to the industry and been transported into Berlin, you would have thought that it was all plain sailing, everything was incredible. How much of that vibe is like, we're so glad to be back, versus the sort of reality of?
The reality is that I will never forget, it was the 17th of March that I said to my team, that's it, we're closing the office and we're all going home, and see you in 2 weeks.
Was it the first time you had a standing ovation?
Exactly, just see you in 2 weeks, guys. And those 2 weeks became 2 months, and the 2 months became 6, and a year and a half, and 2 years. Nobody actually expected that we're going to go through this. Each one of us in this room, we're in the business of opening hotels, and we had to close. I've got about 500 hotels in the EMEA region, and we closed 95% of those in 2 months, and that was unprecedented. Yeah. And that's the word that we used every single day. Unprecedented, and you're on mute, because we went on Zoom, and everybody learned the word. You're on mute. I've never heard this phrase in my life. You're on mute. Anyway, so we were on mute for 2.5 years, right? And that's what happened. And the moment the borders opened, I think people just had enough. People wanted to remember, hospitality is the industry that brings people together. We don't talk about the things that divide us. We talk about the things that unite us. So we started bringing people together, and that's what people wanted. They wanted to meet, they wanted to see friends and family, and go to places and that they haven't been for the last 2.5 years. You remember the days where people were attending, and I don't want to be, it's all positive, but I want to remind you all, the days that we attended funerals on FaceTime because we couldn't attend a friend's funeral, and we all remember those days. So what is important is that you build the future, but you should never forget what we've learned in the last 2.5 and 3 years. So travel, go, do what you have to do, expand, enjoy, but we as a business, we have to remember what the lessons we learned in the last 2.5 years.
And what do you think with the big, I'm a big believer in a sort of theory that COVID didn't change anything but fundamentally, but it was an accelerant for existing trends already. What are we taking from COVID? So one of the things that I have, one of my bugbears in the industry is the industry seems to be, we talk about hospitality, and we talk about the industry being one of the very few jobs still that you can go in with 0 qualifications and create a career for yourself. And the industry seems sort of hell-bent in creating this level of hotel with as few people working in them as possible. This is like the sort of developer's dream. Don't need anybody. Everything can be done technologically. Don't need to talk to anybody. Check in, check out. Have 0 human contact. Is that really the direction we want to be going in?
No, I don't think so. There were 2 webinars that I've attended. It was April. Everybody went into webinars, right? And I remember STR, Benz did an amazing job keeping us together. I think STR, every time we're going into the STR webinar, it was like, oh my God, tell us, give us some hope. And I know Thomas is here, and Robin did a phenomenal job. I remember the webinar. It was about May 2020, and most of us, we had our hotels closed, and everybody said, oh, you know what, breakfast in hotels is dead. Nobody's going to queue up for breakfast anymore. I was on holidays in August. There were about 150 people queuing to have breakfast.
Well, they clearly didn't get the message.
Exactly, they didn't get the message. So a lot of things that we thought are going to happen, they didn't happen.
Right.
So, but a lot of things we didn't predict actually did happen and provide a big challenge. The airlines, the staff shortage, the chaos at the airports. We didn't talk about these things back in March or April or May 2020, but these were challenges that we're facing today.
Yep.
So the lessons that we learned, again, they're not necessarily the ones that we anticipated back in at the beginning of COVID. What we will see, though, is that hospitality is about people. You can have the best, seamless check-in, check-out. You just need people. Nobody's going to say, oh, you know what, I've been to this amazing place. It was a beautiful hotel and there were no people. I mean, really? So why do you even bother travel? We human beings, and I think Harold said it, we want to interact. At least my generation. I'm going to be wearing a diaper very soon. Thank you, Harold.
They're not buying a diaper.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Hopefully they have one in my size. But the challenge is that my kids. I've got a 25 and a 23-year-old daughter. Both of them girls. Despite all that, they still want to interact with people. Yes, they want to do it in an environment that they feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And my 23-year-old, she wakes up in the morning, if she doesn't have 50 likes on her Instagram post, she's not happy. She's having a bad day. She says, oh my God, people don't love me. I have less than 50 likes. And they talk to me on WhatsApp. So that's the world we live in. So yes, we got to adapt. But remember, in 2019, there were 2 billion people who traveled around the world. Do you think they're all in that generation? Some of them will, but some of them will still want this amazing experience that we every day, each one of us in this room provide, and they're going to travel for it. So yes, things will change, but there will be people, and a lot of them, who are going to still want that human interaction. That is the essence of hospitality as far as I'm concerned.
So you one of these guys. So leisure travel has come back very, very strongly.
Yep.
So you've had like 18 months worth of trips. So my pet theory is you've got 18 months worth of trips that people had paid for but hadn't been able to take. And then COVID restrictions go, everyone goes nuts. So this summer has been unbelievable.
Yep.
With everything that's going on, moving into, say, the autumn and January next year, are you one of these people who think that business travel is going to change in that way, or is it just a temporary dip?
It will change. I look at my team. We've got an office in Hammersmith. We've got about 60 corporate team members. We had a summer party in June. It was the first time I saw people after 3 years. Actually, some of these guys have actually moved to other countries, and I wasn't aware, because I only see them on Zoom, and I realized they've got legs. You tend to see people. I hired people on Zoom, and I didn't know how tall they are. And when I saw them in real life, oh my God, you're tall! And they said, yeah, but how you couldn't tell? Because that's the only part of their body I could see. So yes, the world will change. I think I do agree with Harold that you're going to have a lot of business get-togethers. Not actually conferences. You get, for me, when I invite the guys for our summer party, everybody showed up. Probably it was the free drinks, I guess, but it's going to work. People will show up. People still need to interact, but will they do it in an office? Not really, not anymore. Some of them will, but some of them won't.
Right.
The question is how we as a business and as hoteliers, how can we find that hybrid model that works for all of them? And that's the world. That's the way the world is going to change.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about Wyndham, because you guys have been spending some money over the summer.
Wasn't my money, but yes.
Let's pretend it was. Effectively, it is.
Yeah.
So, what's in terms of the strategy? I mean, 44 mil is not an insignificant amount to secure some future cash flows. As you and I discussed before, the pound, and we're looking at the UK specifically, but also the euro, is a 30% discount throughout 2022, which is extraordinary. So what is going to happen? Is that going to mean, so are you going to use that balance sheet? Are you guys going to be looking for more opportunities? I mean, things are cheap now if you work in dollars, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, for those of you who do not know, Wyndham is the world's largest franchisor. We've got about 9,000 hotels and 95% of our business is franchise. We just bought, what James is referring, we just bought our 23rd brand. Is a brand that has about 40 hotels. It's called Vienna House. We bought that brand for about $44 million, which the day we've actually wired the money, it was 44 million euros. It was the first day after 6. That made me a hero because we bought that brand for 20% discount, right? Yes, Wyndham loves to grow brands, loves to buy brands. That brand that we bought, to me, has a huge significance, which it was important to me and my team. It was the testament from our board in the US that Europe hospitality has a lot of potential. As you said, irrespective of the amount of money that we spent, the fact that somebody actually wired $44 million to buy a European brand from North America, to me, meant a lot. It meant that the European business is back, they trust the business, they trust the region, and they see the potential. So, and look what happened in Greece, right a couple of days ago with the Singaporeans investing in IQOS. I think these are extremely important moves at a time that people have a lot of question marks. You know, you talk about energy crisis and you talk about the inflation and you talk about will the British travel or the Germans, you know. I think that's all fine. That's all fine. That's the landscape. But I believe that these kind of moves, like the one that we did, it actually shows the commitment that we have in the European hospitality. So,
well, people can talk about it a lot, right? But it's when people start putting their hands in their pockets and actually starting to buy assets.
Exactly.
I mean, I think that what's going on with the currency at the moment, I mean, what we did in the UK has been very, very bold, and the markets have reacted really badly. But it means that stuff's going to be cheap. So this actually could be the beginning of a new mini wave of influx of investment and a lot of transactions taking place, which I think would be good because it hasn't, you know, all of that expected sort of transaction activity over the last couple of years hasn't really materialized, right?
There was a Skift article recently that said the 5 big hotel groups, which is Marriott, ISG, Accor, Wyndham, and I think there was one more, there's about $7 billion worth of excess cash. So all the cash is sitting in the balance sheet and needs to be used. So I believe that not just for Wyndham, but I think for every hotel company, they're actually thinking of ways to deploy their cash. And cash, it doesn't actually mean just acquisitions. It could be anything. It could be technological advances. It could be, you know, new ideas, suggestions of new things to make things a bit more efficient operationally. So, but you gotta use that cash because that cash is sitting on the balance sheet doing nothing at the moment.
And do you think it's going to? Do you think that money is going to stay in traditional hospitality assets, or do you think they're going to be looking into other real estate?
Not necessarily. I think people are going to be bold. Not as bold as I am, but they're
bold.
Bold at work. Yes, they're going to be bold. They're going to be looking at things and they're going to say, you know, where do we go next? Do we just buy traditional hospitality? Should we grow something else? Should we buy a new idea, a new concept? I think there's and Jonathan mentioned it about the startups and how you bring all these startups together. There are some amazing ideas happening out there. You just need to know where to look for them and find them. That's the story.
So are there any areas of the industry? I mean, you say you have 23 brands, which, let's be honest, is way too many. I think Marriott is still, is it 40 your friends at Marriott, something like that? We've gone into that era of like trying to guess and like all of that kind of like segmentation, which I have serious doubts about, but that's, you know, for another time. Are there any particular areas of the market that you think are, for me, it seems to be like super luxury or budget design. Everything in between, I think, is problematic. But that seems to be. Is that your view as well?
Yeah, I mean, we are the leaders in economy and budget. We've got some amazing brands in that spectrum. I believe all inclusive. We just launched our all-inclusive brand. I think all-inclusive and luxury all-inclusive will be a huge opportunity.
Which is where Hyatt have gone into as well.
Exactly, where Hyatt has done with Apple Laser. I think that's a great opportunity. There's a definition of lifestyle. Everybody talks about lifestyle, but how do you define lifestyle? So for Harold, for example, lifestyle is different. I mean, look at his suit. Lifestyle is different than what I believe lifestyle. Look at my tie, or you haven't got the tie. So lifestyle is completely different than people, right? So a lot of talk about lifestyle, talk about, you know, luxury. But luxury is only 5% of the world, right? Out of those 2 billion people who travel in 2019, they're not all going to spend $1,000 a night in a luxurious. I mean, they're a great market to be at, but I do believe that mid-scale economy and budget is where the future lies.
Really, mid-scale?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think Harold probably spends more money on dry cleaning than he does on...
Yeah. I mean,
on,
wow,
on
man, I saw that suit and I'm like, how can you beat that?
I think it's made out of the same material, it's a space shuttle or something like that.
I bet you it's recycled.
Yeah, no, definitely. So in terms of, we talked about it, we talked about... I mean, it's honestly, talking technology, now my watch is talking to me. Mind your own business. In terms of the challenges that we're facing, I think specifically, so it always makes me laugh when people are talking about, it's so hard to get people to work in hotels. I've been in the industry 30 years. We've had this conversation every year about how difficult it is to get people to work in hotels. There's nothing new. The energy thing, though, I think is more of a challenge. What is, of all of those different issues that you see, do you see anything more significant than like maybe a sort of 12, 24 month?
Yeah, look, the staff issue, the people issue is huge. We're a business that needs people, and in order to be in this business, you gotta love people. If you don't like people, you cannot serve. You cannot be in this business.
You've never been to a hotel in Scandinavia.
Yeah, the Scandis, they have their own ways of loving people, don't they? So I was in a hotel in Dubai this weekend, and I'm sitting there by the pool, and this guy comes to me and says, "Can I clean your glasses?" And I'm like, well, "What do you mean?" He said, "No, I got to wipe and clean your glasses."
I mean, it's quite a lot of...
Yeah. And I'm like, "Is that what you do?" He said, "Yeah, my job is to go around, spray people in the face if they are too hot, and clean their glasses." And I'm like, "Are you looking for a job in a restaurant in the UK, please?" Because, if you look, and it's not the same everywhere, right? If you look at Dubai and the Middle East, in 3 hours, they've got 1.2 billion people who are looking for jobs. In Europe, we are an aging population. I think as an industry, we've done a big mistake, and we broke the circle of trust with the people. When we start furloughing people, we got rid of people. So the Europeans who love hospitality and they stayed with us, they're now thinking, when is the next time you're going to fire me again and you're going to do something else? And that's why they became, I don't know, van drivers for Amazon, or they became delivery drivers. So we as an industry, we need to recalibrate our relationship with our people. We need to build that circle of trust back, because that circle of trust is gone. And all the leaders from the first person that walks into the door up to the CEO of a company, we need to stand up and say, look, we are an industry that needs people, and you're welcome back. I don't think we've made that very clear yet. Although in different parts of the world, that challenge with staff is not as evident. As I said, in Dubai, it's a completely different story than what it is in Europe. But in my favorite restaurant where I live in London, they don't serve Mondays and Tuesdays anymore because they don't have people. And that's really sad.
What, Nando's Hammersmith?
Yeah, I'm Greek, I cannot afford anything else. I pay taxes.
Amazing. Listen, time's up, unfortunately.
Is it? Oh.
Remarkably. I mean, as ever, it's been difficult. It's been a real challenge to get you to say anything, but I think we struggled through, and hopefully we were able to say something that was useful to people. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And come and spend your money in Greece. Money well spent.